Well, we finally got a Bitcoin all-time high. So this one's actually a clean one. We finally broke out. It isn't just a scam week like we had yesterday. We actually had a massive breakout to the upside. Bitcoin's currently at $115,000 with an all-time high of today. I believe it was up, 117,000. And it's looking really good, guys. Of course, when I told you guys yesterday, I was expecting Bitcoin all-time high to happen within pretty much the next 2 weeks, and we actually got it today. And to be honest, when it comes to Bitcoin's all-time high, what we're really waiting for now is a continuous run to the upside, just like we had on the previous legs up. So as you guys can see, every time we've had a run up, probably we've had a run up for like at least like 50 days or so. And pretty much what we're looking for now is really a retest of previous all-time highs at the very least, and then just a continuous run for another month or so, and that should really ignite the bull market for alt season, as well as our base native token assets. But without further ado, I'm Dope Oxide. I make content on YouTube, X, and CoinMarketCap, so be sure to follow those pages, like and subscribe. Make sure to ring the bell on my X page because I do make a lot of content around base native token assets, which are high betas of Bitcoin. So let's get right into it. First of all, for liquidations, we had a massive liquidation today. $1.1 billion of liquidations today, with 970 million going to shorts. And like I said previously, when you have massive liquidation events like this, usually it's an inflection point and we might have a correction to the other side. So in this case, we had massive shorts today, nearly $1 billion in shorts. So don't be surprised we have a little bit of a pullback today, because generally these massive liquidation events usually occur at local tops or significant tops. Of course, this is not me saying the bull's over and Bitcoin is rolling over from here. It's just that I do expect, and don't be surprised, that Bitcoin may retrace to the previous all-time high, maybe at the low 110k or so, and then make our way to the upside, which is completely healthy. But for altcoins, it will probably be your last chance to get really good entries, especially tokens like Toshi, Alien Base, etc. And for liquidations, let's see where we go from there, because it's looking like we're just having some liquidations getting built up at the 130k region and a little bit at the 80k. But to be honest, I wouldn't worry about the 80k region, because look, like if we do hit 80k, the bull cycle is probably over. It's going to have massive implications, and the price will obviously not look great at all, and the TA analysis will just pretty much imply that the bull cycle is over. So wouldn't worry about the 80k region. But when it comes to long short ratio, I told you guys yesterday, it's looking like it's about a squeeze. Reason being is we've had lower lows the whole time, and except a few fake outs to the upside. So when it comes to lower time frames for the long short ratio, once again, we're actually made a new low. And this was, of course, because of the shorts getting liquidated. And really, like, the market isn't overheated right now, and people are still bearish, if not still shorting the markets. And as long as this keeps making new lows, the top probably isn't going to be in. Because reason being is, every time we've had major high prints on the long short ratio, it's usually the impending doom for the bull cycle top, at least for a local top. So as you guys can see, when we had this massive run up, we had a really big, massive run up for the long short ratio, and we still haven't seen that yet. Like, we're still squeezing. It's looking like it's actually wedging to the downside. So if this was to play out for a top, we'd probably keep squeezing here for probably another month or so, and then start squeezing up to the upside. And as you guys can see, generally when that occurs, we probably have like 1 to 2 months left in the cycle. So once this breakout does occur, so if we break out to here and then make our way to the upside, we'll probably have at most 2 months from that breakout point. And it's just something to note. Of course, it's not a super accurate way of telling the top, but it's sort of just warning signs to tell you guys, look, but most likely Bitcoin is looking like it's going to top. But as it stands right now, we're nowhere near close to that. We're still actually making new lows, which is quite funny to see. It just shows how massively offside the bears are, and they can just consistently keep shorting the market and losing money, which is great to see, because people shorting and doubting this bull run just shows how much more we have left to the bull cycle. For Ethereum to Bitcoin, looking amazing. We actually had our first ever daily close above this bull consolidation. So of course, every time we've gone on top of this trend line, we've had major resistance and only previously wicked above. And we finally had that daily close. So what's left is a retest and continuation to the upside to that major key 0.029 Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio chart, which we've always been waiting for. If base season hasn't occurred by then, I do expect base season to at least be a guarantee of occurring when Ethereum to Bitcoin chart makes its way to the 0.4 region. But I do expect life to really sprout within the base ecosystem once Ethereum to Bitcoin gets to this 2.9 region. So for Bitcoin, I told you guys yesterday, we've had so many retests of the 110k region, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it just seems to me, being the 6th time we've actually touched it, it's looking really like we're going to break out, especially because every time we've retested this area, so like originally when we first started testing the 110k area, we've only had wicks, and then the last 3 we had closes, but then the last one, we actually had multiple closes at that key resistance. So we obviously had that breakout now. What's really left is either continuation or a retest. I would rather the retest just so it really wipes out the late longers. But who knows really, Bitcoin is really going to do Bitcoin things. And to be honest, like looking at the past times we've had massive leg ups to the upside, it's generally a lockout rally and we just go straight up from here. And the worst case really is just sideways consolidation with really no pullback. So let's see where we go. At the very most, I see a pullback happening at the previous all-time high at 110, but it's looking really good. Our altcoins are actually really sprouting some life, and Ethereum is actually absolutely looking amazing right now. Of course, for Ethereum, we had that breakout on the RSI, so we were expecting a move up to the upside. And when it comes to that move to the upside, we actually tagged the 3K region on Binance. And it's looking like we're having some turbulence here. We did expect 3K to be hit once this major accumulation area was broken. And we saw that today. So we had a close above it. And this 3K region was pretty much a magnet. So we've touched that, tagged it. And really what's left is another retest just like Bitcoin. So I would not be surprised we have a sharp pullback on Ethereum to that 2,800 to maybe 2,700 region on top of that accumulation range. And then a continuation. And once we do that, like I said, for altcoins and base season, that will probably be your last time to get really good entries on base native token assets before we have just a massive run to the upside. Because I do expect once this retest is complete, we have a run to that 4K region, which will absolutely make altcoins on base explode. And like I said to you guys multiple times, base, in my opinion, is the best place for risk to reward. And more than likely, base native token assets will outperform other markets, in my opinion. I made countless videos of why and like what my thesis is around the base chain ecosystem. But basically, base chain will be the #1 chain of this cycle, in my opinion, and flip Solana and in TVL and volumetrics. When it comes to total 3 and total 2 charts, actually let me change this to total 2. When it comes to total 2 and total 3, we had breakouts. So yesterday I was waiting for that consolidation to break out. This is the total 3 and we're actually waiting for that breakout. Whereas total 2 already broke out yesterday. So, but when it comes to the RSI levels that we're actually still waiting on, which just shows that we still have a lot of like time in this leg up to the upside. Because yeah, the RSI still hasn't broken out. But it's also another note to be cautious, because if we do reject here on the 2-day on the RSI, we could see a little pullback, which probably implies we're probably going to pull back on that downward consolidation, which would be very bullish, just like I've shown on this arbitrary line. So I do expect pullbacks to occur if we do get a rejection on this resistance. Next up is stock market. So for the futures, we actually had a pullback as of pretty much the last 4 hours or so. And when it comes to stock market, I do expect this bull flag to keep holding. And as long as this bull flag holds within the, all the way down to that 6,200 region, the stock market is looking very bullish, and I do expect continuation to occur. When it comes to Toshi, Toshi is looking absolutely massive right now. We had, I think pretty much like a 10% candle today. Let me check. So yeah, so it was about 8.6% today. And of course, when it comes to this accumulation range and this consolidation we had previously, we've now broken out. And technically, I didn't actually show you guys, the target would have been, what's the target right now? So technically the target is at a major resistance area at the 6.5 region. I do expect once Toshi gets to this area, we're probably going to see some resistance. But if we do break out, we're going to have to see a massive gold candle to the upside, because I do think this is our last major key resistance area before our next previous high at the 0.0084 region. And pretty much the verdict is for Toshi, looking very bullish right now. I hope you guys accumulated enough Toshi at the purple box I told you guys previously. And when it comes to like your next entry points, if you guys are underinvested, probably on a retest. So if we do see that retest, maybe even just like filling half this candle at the 5-6 region, I think that's be a really good entry point. I don't think we're going to retest the consolidation because we actually consolidated quite a bit within there, and this candle is like absolutely massive. But let's see where we go. But I do expect at the very least probably fill half the candle. So 5-6 region will probably be a good spot to accumulate Toshi. When it comes to Alien Base is actually starting to move. And as you guys can see, we're actually outside our purple risk to reward box. So when it comes to Alien Base, at least, I would say your last entry point is anywhere from probably from the 6 cents to the 5.8 cents region. I do expect a retest to occur, and if we do get a successful retest, continuation more than likely occurs up until nearly the 9 cent region. Let's see where we go for price action. But like I said, in my opinion, Alien Base is a microcap, so more than likely it will be laggy because microcaps are generally the most risk on asset of all risk on assets. So they usually really run at the pico tops of the bull cycle. So once Alien Base really gets running, it's more than likely later on in the bull cycle when Bitcoin's probably around the 150K region. And of course, Alien Base is the high beta of Aerodrome. So the prerequisite would definitely be Aerodrome to be at least the 2 billion plus range. You guys can analyze the timing between Alien Base and Aerodrome, but generally every time Aerodrome has had a massive pump to the upside, Alien Base has also had a pump to the upside. So they're sort of like pairings because it sort of makes sense, and I've told you guys countless times, Aerodrome is the number 1 base native DEX of base chain, and Alien Base is the number 2. So that's why I always tell you guys, Alien Base is the high beta token of Aerodrome. And just like Aerodrome is the high beta token of Ethereum, once Ethereum gets moving, once the Aerodrome gets moving, Alien Base will have a massive catch-up play to Aerodrome. But of course, in my opinion, Alien Base will most likely offer more multiples than Aerodrome, purely based on the fact that Alien Base is only $11 million market cap right now, whereas Aerodrome 670. And if Aerodrome gets to like 2 billion plus market cap at the end of his bull cycle, Alien Base should at the very least, in my opinion, be 20% of Aerodrome's market cap, which will put it at least 400 mils. It's at least a 10x from here. And I'm quite comfy in my position in Alien Base because when it comes to base chains adoption, I really do think that base chain will be the number 1 chain of his bull cycle. And pretty much all coins on base chain will most likely pump to the upside. And purely based on the fact that base chain's TVL and volume metrics will increase, of course, Aerodrome will benefit from that, as well as Alien Base because they're both base native dexes. But that's all to the video, guys. If you guys like the video, like and subscribe. Comment down below if you guys want me to cover any other subject pieces, or if you guys just like the video. And of course, none of this is financial advice. This is just my opinion. Have a good one. Have a good day. Peace.